like the different days, did we even think regarding our right to water that we consider as our common resource? We never thought. We use water globally as a commodity, and we never think that this water is the resource for common people. People around the world are often infected by different types of disasters and then turn around. But this time, this invisible virus that looks so bad has never been seen in the past. Infection caused by corona is not confined to a particular region. Most of the countries in the world are affected by COVID-19. Its contagion is spreading so fast that people have forced themselves out of their social gatherings and even movement. Global and national production are declining due to the compulsion of the people to divert themselves from their work, and the economy is in recession. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25, states water as the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family. Though the declaration directs to make water available to everybody as a common resource, the reality is far from the essence of the declaration. Access to water is essential, universal, but it has been politicized since the time immemorial. Experts very often opine that the Third World War could happen only because of crisis. If we consider the local, regional, and global levels, the water issue is found to be the causing factor of the bone of contention among nations. Water, especially the fresh one, is vital for everyday survival, but only 2.53% of the available water on the planet is fresh, and it is believed that two-thirds of the globally available fresh water is locked in the glaciers. The demand for the use of fresh water is increasing every day due to the increment of the global population, change of lifestyle, and industrialization, and so on. The trend of global water use, pushing it to be a most scarce resource. The demand for fresh water is increasing globally, and Bangladesh is not out of the list. Bangladesh is a riverine country, and the agrarian activities like irrigation for the cultivation of crops, fisheries, water transportation, as well as biological conservation of the country are dependent on river water. There are more than 230 rivers are reported in Bangladesh, of which 57 are transboundary. Out of the 57 rivers, 54 are common with negotiations and neighbors. India and 3 with Myanmar. 3 mighty transboundary rivers like the Ganges, which is called Padma in Bangladesh, the Brahmaputra, and the Meghna have created the Ganges Brahmaputra Meghna GBM basin, and around 80% of the total floodplain of the country lies within this basin. Bangladesh covers only 78% of the total basin area, and the remaining catchment area is located in China, India, Nepal, and Bhutan. As this living delta, Bangladesh is the blessing of GBM basin and must be defended on and susceptible to runoff from upper riparian states, with 92.5% of the country's surface water provided by out-of-country sources. These rivers not only carry water, but also bring a huge amount of sediments, debris during the flow. The Ganges and the Brahmaputra together carry about billion tons of seeds from the Himalaya to the Bay of Bengal. And during the monsoon, it becomes 2 million tons every day. These huge amounts of sediments get obstacles on the way to downstream and major portions to get settled down on the bottom of the rivers. The heavy load of sediment on the bottom of rivers reduces the depth of river and its waterways, and also decrease the carrying capacity. And the result is flooding during the monsoon. But in the dry season, most of the rivers remain dried up. The water management practices of neighboring countries in the upstream, including planned interventions like withdrawal of water through barrages and dams, anthropogenic activities like building infrastructure, create water crisis in the dry season and flooding in the monsoon. If we just can remember, Farakka Barrage in the Indian upstream is always considered as the cause of water shortage in Bangladesh part. Millions of people are living in the catchment area of shared rivers like Ganges, Brahmaputra, Meghna, Tista, Monu, Khwai, Dharla, Dudhkumar, Gumti, Muhuri, and so on in Bangladesh, and depend for their livelihood as well. So any intervention in the natural course of these rivers can make the beneficiaries aggrieved and can create conflict. This conflict can augment political, social, and economic tensions and can cause disputes concerning the distribution, use, and management of river that we experienced between India and Bangladesh. Dispute for water sharing between Bangladesh and India got its severe momentum after reporting of Farakka Dam in action in 1975, which significantly reduced the dry season flow. Bangladesh could assume the adverse impact of the barrage and objected it. The negotiation was going on without any fruitful results. Studies reveal that the then Indian Premier Indira Gandhi was unwilling to operate the Farakka Barrage without the consent of the Bangladesh part. But the situation changed after the association of the former Bangladesh President Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. After then, India has unilaterally started building several dams from many transboundary rivers like Tista, Gumti, Khwai, Dharla, Dudhkumar, Monu, and also blocked many rivers like Muhuri, Sagalnaya, Kulchuri, Kochu, and others, which flow from Tripura, meaning India, to Bangladesh. In 1996, after a series of negotiations, the Ganges Agreement of 1977, Memorandum of Understanding 1983, and 1988, India and Bangladesh signed a 30 years Ganges water sharing treaty. Both parties in the agreement of 1977 and the treaty of 1996 agreed that the quantum of Ganges water to be released at Farakka and the sharing agreement would be effective for the 10-day periods of the dry season, January to May 31. The Ganges flow that Bangladesh receives during the dry season under the 1996 treaty are only half of those which formerly entered Bangladesh before commissioning of the Farakka Barrage. The flows are not adequate to support the ecosystem to be functioning as well as hinder normal agricultural and relevant development activities. Bangladesh implemented the number of projects like Tista, Monu, and Muhuri River to meet the demand of water, but inadequate water flows from the upstream during the dry season hinder the proper functioning of those projects. The time when the rivers of Bangladesh are in the scarcity of water flow in the dry season, India proposed their river linking project to resolve India's internal water crisis following the next 10 years implementing interbasin water transfer, which frustrated the people of Bangladesh. Experts believe that the execution of such a project by India would cause a huge adverse impact on the ecosystem of Bangladesh, even in the West Bengal. Bangladesh is a worst victim of the scarcity of fresh water in the territory. Most of the rivers, canals are dying. Agricultural activities are hindered and severely hampered. Understanding the severity of the situation, Hasina Manmohan Summit in 2011 committed to signing the Tista Treaty, but did not happen yet. Though very often the Indian part tries to convince that the treaty will be signed very soon, the auspicious moment does not come. The thirsty rivers, canals, moribund ecosystem are eagerly waiting for the flow of water. The source of the common according to the Article 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights for their sustenance and sharing of water can even resolve the conflict and establish peace. Though Bangladesh has included water in the list of rights of the people in its constitution, it's not possible to confirm it alone. This requires the effective management of water resources, where every citizen of the country has to avoid wastage of water, stop pollution, and finally, not to encroach the rivers and canals that result to hinder the water flows. International human rights law always demands more attention to marginalized people. It also promises to reduce discrimination in the areas of water and sanitation for those who are deprived or marginalized. So, it is also the duty of the United Nations to bring the states involved in the dispute of water to a compromise to ensure right of the common. So we are looking forward to use our common resource sharing and caring. Let's have our planet alive with adequate water flows as well as a lively environment. Have a nice time.